I have to say this really is the highlight of the year for us, and we couldn't be more excited about the program, right?
I'm so excited for the conversations. I've already had amazing ones outside. I'm excited for the ones later tonight after a couple drinks.
And for anyone who is returning, you know this, and for anyone who this is your first one, welcome. One of the best things about this conference that we really enjoyed last year was it's one of those sort of unique opportunities to talk to people who are dealing with the same issues that you're dealing with, who are peers at other companies, but aren't necessarily in your industry or people that you have to worry what you're saying anything around. And we're just enormously so pleased and proud that you joined us to participate in this conversation.
And just to put an exclamation point on what Charles said, what really sets this conference apart is that we're here to talk about culture and how to build and lead teams. Because we understand that that is the infinite challenge for all of us, but also that if you get it right, it has the biggest payoff, right? The second thing that sets apart this conference is just the collective brain power in this room, frankly, which is just off the charts. You are all such smart and thoughtful leaders and have so many great ideas to share. And it's really our job over the next day and a half to start the conversations, to get you to share your ideas, culminating tomorrow afternoon in our Give and Get sessions. And I do want to just take a second. David Politis, where are you? Can you just stand up and wave your arms? Just want to give a shout out to David. I interviewed him a couple of years ago for Corner Office, and he and I have lunch on occasion, and I was bouncing this idea off him, and he really helped me sort of refine some of the ideas, so hat tip to David. I also want to thank our sponsors for tonight, ADP, Salesforce, Steelcase, and Egon Zender. We appreciate your support. Some quick housekeeping. If you haven't done so already, please download the NYT Live app on your phone so you can share a network with each other. And for Twitter, we're using the NYT Live handle, and the hashtag is NYT New Work, so please join the conversation. I also want to mention that all of the gorgeous photos that you've been seeing on the screen tonight are from the New York Times.
Except for this one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This one, custom.
This one's Wall Street Journal, weirdly.
So we want to start the conversation at your table tonight with a couple of icebreakers. So I think I emailed all of you last week about the first one, which is, what is your best interview question? And I have to say, this has been the biggest surprise for me doing Corner Office, and I just passed my 500th interview milestone. The biggest surprise for me is that I'm still hearing questions I've never heard before. And honestly, just out on the ocean lawn at drinks night, I heard a question I'd never heard before. And it kind of makes sense because I appreciate that all of you have to be kind of like master psychologists, right? You've got to come up with these creative questions to get people off all those usual scripts and the pat answers about my biggest weakness is I care too much, right? You've heard it all before. It starts sounding like elevator music after a while. So what I want you to do, again, I asked you to come prepared with your best interview question. So the first thing is share it with others at your table, and then I want you to email it to me tonight. Please do not forget at my email address. Because what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go through them, pick out some highlights, and share some of those highlights with you tomorrow morning. We're also going to collect all the interview questions, and in a few days email them all to you so you can borrow some tricks from each other. I also want to mention tomorrow morning by breakfast, we're going to have video cameras set up. So if you want to bring your beautiful faces and handsome mugs in the morning and share your best interview question, and we will give you some social media love and push that out. So, and I know you're not shy. So I told you about this question, but there is a second icebreaker question for your table. And it is, what is your mundane superpower? Just quick show of hands. How many of you heard of this expression before? Okay, so we need to define it. What is a mundane superpower? It is an unusual skill or ability that has little value beyond its intrinsic quirkiness. No value in the marketplace. Okay? So I wrote a short piece for the Times last fall in which I shared mine, and I'll share it with you guys in a couple of minutes, and basically asked readers to send in theirs. And we got some funny answers, so I'm going to share a few with you. I want to make sure people over there say, Lots of tourists in New York, right? Get lots of practice doing this. It's pretty harsh, right? Nothing to do with caring at all. At all. Especially helpful if you're paparazzi, right? Really good to have if you're in that business. You can imagine that unnerving people, right? So for your mundane superpower that I know some of you right now are thinking, what's mine? And I know some of you are thinking right now that I don't know what it is, or I don't have one. Trust me, you have one. Text your spouse. Okay? Text your kids. They will tell you if you don't know what it is. So there are a few ground rules for mundane superpower. First one is no humble brags. Okay, so it's not my mundane superpower is that I've only started 4 companies with billion-dollar exits, okay? You cannot do that. Second rule, it has nothing to do with your job. Nothing at all. Okay? The more mundane, the better. And I know all of you are a competitive bunch. You're always going to try and outdo each other. But this is the reverse of that. You have to basically nominate the person at your table who has the most mundane power. There is a 4th rule that I'm going to mention too. Your mundane superpower is not some kind of random bad luck that you have, like, I always get soup on my tie or something, like, not that anybody wears ties anymore, but it's not like one of those bad luck things. So those are the rules. I'm going to ask you guys. Jenna, you go first. What's yours?
What is yours?
Mine is so uncool. I hate to even mention it, but I can sleep anywhere. I can sleep after drinking tons of coffee. I can nap in my office. I can sleep on the subway, even though I wouldn't, but I can sleep anytime.
So pay attention on stage tomorrow when Jenna closes her eyes.
I'm taking a micro nap. I'm having a micro nap.
I just assume it's a sign of a clear conscience, right?
That's what we'll go with, yes.
Yes, it's a clean living.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I think I learned my mundane superpower last week when I accidentally walked into a bar class in a gym. I don't know if anyone has been to bar. It's where you practice pirouettes. I was the only male in there with about 35 women, and I discovered very quickly that my mundane superpower is that I can sweat so quickly that I get my own zone to do the.
Pretty good.
Works out.
That's good. I can't even. So I discovered my mundane superpower when I moved into Manhattan a few years ago from the suburbs, and I discovered that I have this facial recognition software in my head. If I see somebody, if I'm running in Central Park and I pass somebody and I see them and I'm on subway 2 weeks later and they're on the subway, I literally recognize them. First of all, it is kind of exhausting. Second of all, some of you might be thinking, Adam, that sort of sounds like a humble brag, but trust me, it's not, because that mundane superpower has eaten into the part of my brain that would otherwise be used for remembering people's names. So I have a lot of hey, you. So I just want to say this right here, right now, all of you wearing name tags, this is heaven for me. This is what heaven looks like, everybody wearing a badge. So that's your task to start off the table. Share your best interview question. Please email it to me and share your mundane superpower. So we're going to eat now, and I'll be back in a bit with Laszlo Bock for a discussion. Thanks very much.